Today, in the thick of national elections and concurrent state elections, I wish to pay a tribute to the voters of our country. And I'll tell you why. When I was studying in England, when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, as an Indian student, I was interviewed by the BBC television about my reactions to the tragic assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. And I was living in England at that time, so he asked me what I thought. But before I could answer, he made a cryptic remark about Indian democracy. And that is, he said, perhaps the British gave India a difficult political system which they are not able to manage. I was embarrassed with that kind of a comment on Indian democracy. But I'm happy to tell you, and you would agree, that Indian voters have shown their resilience time and again and have voted politically, maturely, and have proved that despite the comments or epithets about them being uneducated, ill-informed, gullible, etc., they have always voted consciously and in a very matured way in each election. In fact, Indian voters are very dynamic too. In the other countries, particularly in Britain, so-called mother of democracy, there are safe constituencies, there are marginal constituencies, and there are constituencies which are neutral. But in our country, in India, there is no safe constituency. You see, anything could happen, and voters are capable of throwing surprises. Let us recall some landmark elections in our country. I would cast my memory back to 1977 when I got in a way politically baptized. At that time, 1977, people voted the powerful Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, out of power. She had throttled politicians, smothered the media, and people were angry and impatient about the suspension of democracy in our country, and they voted her out of power. And Janata Party, which came riding the euphoria of restoration of democracy in India, fell like 9 pins. Mid-term, they could not complete the term. It is their internal feuds which brought down the government. People were upset. Mrs. Gandhi fought the election, giving the slogan, "Vote for a government that works," and she was brought back to power. This is 1980. 1984, again Mrs. Gandhi was tragically shot dead by her own bodyguards, and everyone knows that history. Rajiv Gandhi was the leader of the Congress party, and he entered the Indian political scene as Mr. Clean due to the sympathy factor, as many historians and observers would attribute, and Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's Mr. Clean image gave him an unprecedented mandate. Out of 504 seats contested in 1984, he got 404, and later he got 10 more seats, and nobody has ever surpassed that kind of a majority in the parliament. 1989, Bofors exploded in Indian political scene. The Bofors scandal and the Mr. Clean image of Rajiv Gandhi was dashed to the ground by his own finance minister, V.P. Singh. And V.P. Singh led a movement against corruption and was his party, a coalition government, was voted to power, and he became the Prime Minister. 1989 to 91 was a bit of a unstable government because of defection, etc. 1991 Congress again came back to power. 91 to 96, Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, but again the Harshad Mehta scandal broke out, and Congress party was voted out of power. 96, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, because BJP was the largest single party in the parliament, ran the government for 13 days. And then 96 to 98, there were other prime ministers. 98, again, Bajpayee came back to power and ran the government for 13 months. Bajpayee's government was pulled down by a majority of one, and that was considered to be a betrayal by the parties. So the general elections in 1999, Bajpayee was voted to power again. So 1999 to 2004, and we all should remember what happened in 2004. It was predicted uh, by psephologists, astrologers, political observers that Bajpayee will come back to power. And we know the results. He lost the election. 2004 to 2009, it was Manmohan Singh who led the government. 2009, the elections were fought on a Nirnayak Sarkar versus the weak leadership, and that boomerang perhaps, and Manmohan Singh was voted back to power and ran the government from 2009 to 2014. 2014, the government was rocked by various scandals, 2G, 3G, and Commonwealth Games and whatnot. And Anna Hazare led a movement against corruption and institutional Lokayukt. So the party was voted out of power. 2019, the government influence among the voters were dwindling, but people were predicting that Narendra Modi will be voted back to power. In any case, during the elections, again the Pulwama incident happened, and Pakistan hand was suspected, so the voters were swayed by the concern of security and the terrorism sponsored by the neighboring state, and Narendra Modi ji was voted back to power in 2019. We are now in another general election, 2024, and we are in the middle of the election. Today is the third phase, and 4 more phases have to go. There are again quite a bit of speculation that there is no way, no polarization, as show BJP slogan of Ab Ki Baar 400 Par may or may not happen. BJP and NDA are confident that they would be around 400, and India Alliance is thinking of having a surprise for themselves by the voters, and they are contemplating forming government. Lots of speculations are made in India, even internationally. But mind you, I would like to reiterate that voters in India will give a political judgment, cast a political vote, and surprise everybody. Let us wait for that surprise. It will be foolhardy to predict the mind and the moods of Indian electorate. It's the biggest democracy in the world. It is difficult to cause the mood of the people. So let's wait for the election. I would dread to make any prediction, but I would say that whatever would happen would be a political judgment, and voters are always, despite all criticisms about their ability to elect or decide, they have proved everyone wrong, and they will do so again. And I'm quite optimistic that Indian voters will edify Indian democracy, and it would be a new government. Of course, even incumbent government is re-elected, it will be a new government. So let us wait for the results on 4th of June. But in the meantime, I would not lose the opportunity to pay my tribute to Indian voters. My studies of last 30 years of democracy across the world, there are several parameters of a democracy. There is no standard definition. If the dynamism of the voters, enthusiasm, energy of the voters are any yardstick, Indian elections or Indian democracy scored high in the ranking. Thank you.